What's up, hobby friends? My name is Casey, and this is eBay Miniature Rescues. This week on the Baby Diaries, we are going to try and get as much work done as possible. And we're going to use some child labor, because why else do we have kids? On another note, maybe child labor is a bit intense of a word, but it was voluntary. He wanted to do it. I didn't make him, so there's that. You'll see. Come on, you'll see. Alright, so there are a few things I'd like to get done this week. The first thing is, it's Memorial Day, so I've got my son home with me, and he needs something to do, so I'm actually going to put him to work, right? Child labor, I know. So that's what we're going to start with. I'm going to set up a table right here for him. He's going to get to it and kind of see what happens. I'm just going to give him some contrast paints and some poxwalkers, and I want to see if contrast paint, in the hands of a 4-year-old, can still make a model. I think that's pretty cool. So let's try that. Alright, so basically he got all of the stuff covered, and once it's dry, I'm just gonna finish it out just like I would any other poxwalker, like I did in the video that you can probably see right here. Essentially, it's a dry brush over that contrast paint, real light with kind of a light tan and then an off-white color. And then we're gonna fill in those details. Now, he's not very good at filling in details, he's only 4 years old, but he can slap the color down on the model. In contrast paint, you really have to just load the model up. So there's some cool color mixtures and some other stuff. It's a little cartoony. Well, it's a little bit kind of cotton candy, but I think it'll fit. It'll fit just fine. And honestly, it's kind of cool to have the model in the army. So just trying to include everyone while everyone's here. I started filling in some of the details with colors I used on the other poxwalkers. Pink for the guts and boils, brown for the cloth, and some dark metallic for the rest. The whole idea is to get a color variety on the model, dry brush it down with a light flesh tone, and use an off-white to do some stark highlighting. A really quick and really effective way to get a model to the tabletop. Once the rest of the colors filled in, you can see that the skin tone is pretty much gonna work. Sure, it's bright and ridiculous, but those were the colors I picked out for my son to use. Maybe next time I'll go with something darker and see if it comes out a little more 40K and grim dark. From here, I dry brush the model with off-white skin tone and quickly sketch in some highlights with an ivory. I'll put the model in a lineup of my other poxwalkers and you can see how well he fits in. I set them up from grim darkest to cotton candy. This one falls on the 9 out of 10 for candy. Still, I am happy to have a model in my army that was essentially painted by my son. Sure, he didn't do the finishing work, but he got the model halfway there with a strong foundation, and he had a lot of fun doing it. No matter the outcome, that's a pretty big win right there. So yeah, I thought the model actually turned out pretty good, and I mean, obviously I did a lot more work on top of what he did to get it there, but it's kind of a fun little thing if you want to have your kids just paint a bunch of kind of non-essential models using contrast and then fill in the blanks. Obviously, I gave him the cotton candy colors. I could have limited that palette a little bit better, maybe to something that I already had. So, next time we'll try and make it work a little bit better, but I thought it went pretty well. So pretty excited, and maybe I can actually get this army done in a timely manner. All right, so next up, it's still day one. I got a bunch of mail. So I finally took the plunge and picked up a much nicer and much larger sonic cleaner. The cool thing about this model is that the heater is adjustable. So if I need to strip resin, I can turn it all the way off. Either way, we won't be heating up the solution to any dangerous levels on accident. Alrighty, time for the first test with this sonic cleaner. I've set aside some pretty nasty models. Some of the new Bone Reaper models I got for cheap, a really cool Chaos Space Marine that I thought would be nice for a kill team, and he's caked in paint, so even better. Primaris model from the Indominus box set that needs some love, and an old Commissar that I got for a pretty good deal on eBay. Let's try this thing out.
I will consult the bones. The bones tell me nothing.
The sonic cleaner, not going well. I'm gonna return it because, frankly, it is a piece of garbage. So, yeah, there's that. It's real great. Okay, so the sonic cleaner was pretty much garbage. I'm just gonna return it, and that's fine. But I did get this little vortexer in the mail, which is pretty incredible. Now, this is definitely one of the more luxury hobby items out there because all it does is mix your paint in a fancy way. It does it really quick, and you don't have to shake the paint bottles. That being said, it is pretty sweet. So if you do happen to come across one at a good price, definitely recommend picking one of these up. Other than that, I pretty much just got some 3D printing resin in the mail, some other paints, random paints. It was a good mail week. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for day one. I have no idea what the rest of this week holds. Maybe nothing. We'll find out. Day two. All right, so welcome to day two. Now, I know I said I have no idea what's going to happen. That's mostly true. So I decided to work on the Defiler that I talked about last week. It's in pretty good shape, it was built nicely, and it's pretty much ready to go. I just have to prime some of the bare plastic and begin to finish the model in the same way that I did for the rest of the army. So why don't we start on that, because in all honesty, I only have about 2 hours to do this. And that's it. I gotta edit, get the video done. Like we are on a roll here. So let's get to it. All right. Okay, so I just got back from priming this model. Now what I did is I primed everything black, and then I went over it at certain angles with a nice brown rust color. And that way, when we do our metallics, our main metallics over everything, we're going to get a nice variation and have, a lot to work with. That also means that all of our paneling that are going to go back on each of the legs are set up in the same way that we did all of our other panels on everything else in this army. So we're going to add some chipping medium, and we're going to do the exact same thing on these panels only. Everything else is basically going to be kind of a metallic speed paint, and I'm really excited for that because there are some really nice and easy things that you can do to get a really cool result really fast with just a few metallics and some dry brushing. So we're going to go into that, and hopefully we're going to end up with something really cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is take care of all of the chipping medium on the entire model. Anything that I think is going to need to be chipped later on is going to get a quick coat. Now once that's dry, I'm going to follow that up with the ivory that we've been using on the rest of the army. There are a bunch of little panels all over the place with trim that'll have to be filled in later. Essentially, there are 2 steps to dry brushing a model like this to get a very fast and nice looking result. First, I started with a really dark burnt iron and went over all of the metallics. Just kind of evened everything out, but still gave our recesses some nice color because we did that kind of black and brown prime layer. Then I came in with a really bright silver and went over the entire model again. And this just catches all the raised details, unifies the entire thing, and gives it a really nice old metal look, which is really what I wanted for this skeleton. So it's quick, easy, and it looks pretty good. Once all the paint is dry, I'm going to take some Tamiya masking tape and create some caution lines or chevrons. I'm going to try and match these up to go in the opposite direction for each of the corresponding panels just to kind of give a nice unified look. This is a really fun and effective way to really make your models stand out. If you've got lots of flat surfaces and you're dealing with machinery, I definitely recommend trying this. As far as color goes, I went over the whole thing with yellow to give that yellow caution line, and at the bottom of each panel, I filled it in with some kind of off yellow orangey color, and that gives a nice transition. Alrighty, moment of truth. Now, once the paint is dry, and I did really hammer this home last week, the paint must be dry. Once the paint is dry, we can then take the tape off. This is such a satisfying process, and I really wanted to leave this in. Like a 90-minute video of just putting paint on over tape and then removing tape. I think that is in order at some point, but this turned out fantastic. Some of them are a little funky, but at least these 2 right here are just magic. I love these. Then we're going to get to some weathering, and that should pretty much finish up our panels. Now to do that, since we still have chipping medium, I decided to go over all of it and take away some of the actual caution lines as well. So we're scratching into all of it, which is nice because it's all under there. It can all be activated. Then I'm going to go back in with some brown enamel just to kind of give it a little more grime and be done. So somehow, we actually managed to get this model done in about a 2-hour time period. I spent an hour on the body and another hour on all the paneling. There are a lot of times on this channel where I only have a certain amount of time to paint a single model. Usually, they're pretty small. They're not, Defiler sized models. In this case, given the time constraints, I was a little bit worried, but at the same time, going in with a good solid plan, which I can kind of make now that we're doing this more vlog style way of filming. I kind of been thinking about this for a while, so it makes sense. I was able to do a lot more with the time that I had, and I feel really good about this model. I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch, and there's a lot more that could be done, but as far as like throwing this on the table with the other tanks and vehicles that I have, man, I am stoked. So yeah, I don't even know what to say. really happy. Now, the thing about this model in particular is that it's got this top part, and it's cool, you know, it's got the moving weapons, it's got the head, it's got the stuff. But the really cool thing about this whole thing is that you could pop this off and use the base for another type of model, some kind of a conversion. And a lot of people do that with this model. They convert something and make it really unique to their army. Eventually, I would like to do that. I'd like to pop off this half, keep the spider legs, and make something really cool. Now, it's not going to happen tomorrow, it's not going to happen next week, but that is eventually the goal. Thank you again for joining me on another miniature rescue. If you like something about this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. Once again, I'm Casey, and I will see you in the next video.